welcome to this edition of Just Parlays. I'm Jim Williams along with Chris King. And Chris, a lot of fun stuff going on. We got college hoops, we got NHL, we got NBA, we got college football. We got a jam-packed show. So rather than waiting, let's jump to it and let's go right to the hardwood where we start with
Yeah, it's a Pac-12 matchup out in Corvallis. The Utah Utes, a 4.5-point favorite against the Beavers. Surprisingly, this line's only 4.5 when you look at it. Utah's 8-4 this season, coming off a home win over Fresno State. Meanwhile, Oregon State, they snapped a 10-game losing streak by beating Nicholls State in their previous game last Tuesday. But before that, they had lost 10 in a row, including home losses to Samford and UC Davis, among others. Utah 110th in scoring defense at 65.3 points a game. They're 83rd in field goal percentage defense at 40%. And they're 4th in three-point defense, holding opposing teams to just 24.6% from beyond the arc. Meanwhile, Oregon State struggles on the offensive end of the floor. They're 282nd in scoring offense at 67.2 points a game. And they shoot just 30.4% from three-point range, which is going to be probably even lower when you get right down to it, as they face Utah here. They're 271st in field goal percentage defense. Oregon State, they're just 2-10 against the spread in their last 12 overall, and they're 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 at home. In addition to that, the Beavers 0-4 in their last 4 as a home underdog and 0-4 in their last 4 as an underdog, period. You have to like Utah. I mean, they've had some injury issues. They've had COVID issues just like everybody else. But Oregon State has struggled to shoot the ball with any kind of consistency this season. You have to feel bad for Wayne Tinkle after he took that team to the Elite Eight last year. You know, apparently they were a one-trick pony because after Ethan Thompson left, things have really gone downhill in Corvallis. Look for the Utes to get the Pac-12 win up there in the Pacific Northwest and send Oregon State tumbling to 2-11 on the year with a convincing win at the Gill Coliseum.
Well, you know, that's Utah's on a roll because they're playing in the Rose Bowl for football, and that's the first time for them. And now the basketball team's rolling as well, so that's good for them. Let's move from college to the ice. We got some fun stuff going on the ice tonight, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
see him playing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, it's good to have some actual games on the ice. I mean, there's still a bunch that are being postponed. I mean, yesterday there were supposed to be 11 games. We saw 6. And things aren't a whole lot better tonight when you get right down to it. Though, you know, they haven't postponed anybody yet out of the 7 games on the slate.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the key word is yet. Because who knows what will happen between now and puck drop at some of these contests. But at least we have something to look forward to. And speaking of something to look forward to, how about Barry Trotz? The Islanders at home tonight against the Sabres at the UBS Arena. Buffalo playing the second game of a back-to-back here. They stumbled and lost 4-3 to New Jersey last night at home at the KeyBank Center. Meanwhile, the Islanders, hey, they're 2-0-1 in their last 3 at home. That's after that 0-5-2 start there. So maybe they've turned a corner. Malcolm Subban, 0-1-1 with a 479 goals against and an 877 save percentage, is expected to take between the pipes for Buffalo. Ilya Sorokin, 7-7-5 with a 249 goals against and a 926 save percentage, not to mention 3 shutouts. So, hey, those are 3 guaranteed wins for the Islanders in between the pipes for them. Buffalo has struggled on the road. They're 15-49 in their last 64 as a road underdog. They're 1-4 in their last 5 against teams with a losing record. And those bottom 3 numbers tell it all. The Islanders have won 9 of the last 11 meetings between these teams, including each of the last 9 matchups, and dating back to the old Nassau Veteran Memorial Coliseum days for the Islanders. And the home team has won in each of the last 6 meetings between these teams. Seeing that this game is over on the island or wherever it is that the UBS Arena technically falls, whatever borough it is.
On the island, just a little bit.
You have to like the Islanders at home here to go 3-0-1 in their last 4 at home. Maybe they're finally starting to figure things out with the boards and everything there. We talked about when they moved in there after that season opening 13-game road trip that it was going to take a little time to get acclimated. And maybe now after going 2-0-1 in their last three after starting 0-5-2, maybe they started to figure things out. They were playing decent hockey before the pause. They also get Matt Barzal back tonight, which is a big boost offensively for the Islanders. Buffalo, they're dealing. Don Granato, their coach, is in the protocol. So are a whole bunch of their key personnel. So they're trying to struggle along. But after playing last night, they're going to be a bit flat-footed tonight. Look for the Islanders to come up with the win out there on the island.
Technically, it's in Yonkers, so that's really kind of like just island-ish. So that's
okay.
good.
We'll call it island adjacent.
Right. Well, again, technically they are on the island, so I can't. But it's not the Nassau County Coliseum where they used to play is way out on the island. So
yeah, it's out there in Uniondale.
That's right, Uniondale. All right, so we leave the island-ish, and we head on to
the Pacific Northwest, where the Flames get to go on the road to face the Kraken. Now, of course, the Flames were at the forefront of the league's pause. They haven't played since December 11th after they had that outbreak where seemingly the entire team was in the protocols. Meanwhile, Seattle played last night against the Flyers, lost 3-2 in overtime on home ice. The Flames 11-4-2 on the road this season, while Seattle's just 6-9-2 at home. Big stat there, the Kraken 29th in goals against. They give up 3.55 goals a night. The Flames are second in that category at 2.21 goals a game. Jacob Markstrom expected in net for the Flames. Chris Dredger getting the nod over Philippe Grubauer tonight for the Kraken. It's probably an improvement considering how much Grubauer has struggled this season for Seattle. Calgary 4-1 in their last 5 as a road favorite. They are 4-1 in their last 5 against teams with a losing record. Meanwhile, Seattle just 2-10 in their last 12 against Western Conference opponents. They're 1-6 in their last 7 overall. And probably more damning, the Kraken 0-5 in their last 5 home games. Look for the Flames. It might take them 10, 15 minutes to shake the rust off because they haven't played in almost 3 weeks now. But they're a better team than Seattle on both ends of the ice. You have to think they'll get the win on the road there to start off their return with a triumphant victory in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, there you go. Hey,
at the Climate Pledge Arena.
The Climate Pledge, not to be confused with just the Pledge, the one that we use to dust with.
Exactly.
Arena. All right, we got a sponsor, and it's a cool one, and it's Caesars Sportsbook, and they've got a really cool deal. Here's the deal: if you are a Winners and Whiners fan, and we hope you are, and you would be if you're here, and you're all here, so that's good. Here's what happens for our friends at Caesars Sportsbook. They will match your first time deposit or using, when you open your betting using their app or online, and they're going to match up to $1,001 for your first wager on their service. Now, this is a perfect way for new people who are new to picking online or using an app to start off your wager, fun. It's a great opportunity. So go to the Caesars app or online. All of that information is in the show box below. Now, here's the watch. If you look at the bottom, if you use the promo code Winners, that's Video Winners. Check it out in the show box below. That's the ticket to get you that match. Okay, so if you're going to do first-time wagering using an app or online, then do it through Caesars. They'll match it up to $1,001. Okay, for your first time on there. Check the link below because obviously it only works in the states where Caesars are, have their own books and apps. So for all the information, go to the show box below, click on that link, use the promo code, which will be in the show box, which of course is Video Winners. Okay, Video Winners. And you too can have a lot of fun with Caesars book. So check it out. They'll tell you every state that they're legal in and you can get all the information on our new sponsor and our new friends at Caesars Sportsbook. They are one of the best, by all means. Check them out, and they support us, so support them. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Now,
we always talk about free money when it comes to some of the lines that we see around the books.
right.
Now we're basically talking about free money.
Right. We're giving you a chance to use free money, which is, playing with the house money doesn't often happen. So by all means, check out Caesar's Sportsbook, and you'll be glad you did. We'll give you more information later in the show, and all information is in the show box below. So check it out. Okay. All right. From here, we go to the association. And in the association, we've got basketball tonight.
Yep, we've got an Atlantic Division matchup in the Big Apple there where the 76ers on the road to face the Nets. The Nets have won 6 of their last 7 games coming in this one, and for once they're actually getting healthier. Kevin Durant, James Harden, LaMarcus Aldridge all have cleared the COVID protocols and should be back on the floor tonight. The 76ers won't have Danny Green, Shake Milton, or, of course, Ben Simmons. You have to think at this point Simmons has probably played his last game in a Philadelphia uniform. Apparently, it's also come out that Doc Rivers is in the health and safety protocols, taking out yet another coach in the NBA. Meanwhile, the Nets, second in the league in field goal percentage defense at 42.7%. They lead the league in three-point defense at 31.1%. And Philadelphia is a bottom 10 team when it comes to putting points on the board. They're 22nd in the league at 106 points a game. Meanwhile, the Nets, 9th in scoring at 110.5, and they're 6th in field goal percentage at 46.8% on the year. Philadelphia 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 against teams with a winning record. They're 0-6 in their last 6 after a straight-up win. Meanwhile, the Nets have won 9 of their last 11 against the spread on Thursday, and they're 6-2 in their last 8 after allowing 100 points or more. We saw the Nets still win games despite having nobody in the rotation. They were relying on guys from the G League like Kessler Edwards and David Duke Jr. and Day'Ron Sharp, but they were still beating teams. I mean, we saw them beat the Lakers on Christmas. Now with Durant and Harden and Aldridge and all those guys back at full strength, you have to think that Brooklyn's in good shape here to cover the line at home and extend their lead not only atop the Atlantic Division, but atop the Eastern Conference in general, because they've had the Bulls and now Milwaukee chasing them down. So getting back to full strength is a big boost for Brooklyn. I mean, they still miss Joe Harris, who had ankle surgery, but having that duo of Durant and Harden can ease the pain of missing guys like that. And Philadelphia, they don't have those kind of weapons necessarily outside of Embiid and Tobias Harris. And Jim, let me ask you, do you think that it's the end of the Ben Simmons era in Philadelphia? I mean, he hasn't played all year. He had those issues early on where he didn't want to talk to the team doctors. Will Philadelphia, A, is he done there? B, if they trade him, will they get any kind of return on their investment?
First of all, I think they will try to trade him. B, I don't think you seldom ever get return on investment in a situation like this because every team in the league knows you want to trade him. So,
that's true.
If they know you want to trade him, they either want to have this guy really bad or they need somebody really bad. And I don't know that anybody's out there, given what Ben has done so far this season, that's going to beg any urgency on a general manager's part for picking up the phone and calling Philadelphia. So if Philadelphia does, if they trade him, which we think that they will, don't look for them to get anything major in return. I just don't see it.
If you're a GM of another team, do you pick up the phone and call Philadelphia about Ben Simmons?
Do I? No.
Yeah.
If they want to call me, I'm listening. But no, I'm not calling them. And that's what happens in cases like this. General managers, teams like that will say, look, they'll identify 3 or 4 teams and they'll say, maybe Ben would be a good fit here. And then they call and they try to sweet talk the other GM into saying, Ben's having problems here, but I know if change the scenery, he could really do well over there. And they may or may not bite on that. But stranger things have happened. And again, changes of scenery have indeed, boosted other players. It just depends on the makeup. And Ben's, Ben has not done himself any help here. He's probably messed things up more than helped himself. So we'll see. But getting rid of him, it might be a little bit more of a tall task for them than than it's worth. So they may just the old proverbial give me a ham sandwich and I'll take it, just get him off the roster. But you also have to look at the cap hit too. So getting rid of him,
it's going to be prohibitive.
right? So, but getting rid of him is going to cost me how much? So you're not going to find an equal salary. That's for darn sure. So you're gonna not only have to get rid of him, but you're also going to have to pay him, and that makes for a very difficult deep gulp. But if he's not going to help you, which he's not right now, and you need to get somebody on that team who can, then you're going to have to take a role player, and I think that's pretty much what they're looking at: a role player or a draft choice, one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's like you said, he's done them no favors, and every day that goes by, you have to think that his value has dropped a little bit further, given the fact that he hasn't played and nobody knows what kind of shape he's in or anything else.
Well, and every general manager in the league knows it, which makes it worse. So, you can't even say, can't even beg the injury question. So that's not helping. All right, so we now know that there's problems in the city of brotherly love, but not so much if you happen to be wearing a Golden State Warriors uniform.
Yes, and they'll be playing tonight. They were favored by 4.5. From what I understand, that number's gone up a little bit now. The Nets now have Bones Highland and a couple other guys that went back into protocols today, as did Coach Mike Malone. Golden State's supposed to be without Draymond Green and Damian Lee, but Green could potentially clear the protocols before tip-off, so keep an eye out on that. The Nuggets, meanwhile, Aaron Gordon, Monty Morris, and Austin Rivers, and Vlatko Kankar are all questionable with injuries. Granted, Denver won 89-86 Tuesday night at the Chase Center in the first game of this home-and-home set. This one at the Ball Arena in Denver. But, come on, 89-86. That's not really the kind of game you expect to see with these two teams. Golden State leading the league in scoring defense at 100.9 points per game. They lead in field goal percentage defense at 42.7, and they're second in three-point defense at 32.6. Golden State 7-1 in their last 8 following a straight-up loss, 9-3 in their last 12 after an ATS loss. Meanwhile, Denver, they've had struggles after putting a game in the win column. They're 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 after a straight-up win. They're 1-6 in their last 7 following an ATS win, and they are 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 at home. Obviously, the added players to the protocol will hamper the Nuggets. Granted, Golden State's hoping to get Draymond Green back out of it tonight because obviously he's a good matchup against Nikola Jokic. It allows you to cut down on trying to double team him. And you have to think Steph Curry will look better than he did on the other night in that first game of the home-and-home set. I like the Warriors. Hopefully that line doesn't balloon too much higher than what it is now. But obviously the announcement of those guys going into the protocols, like I said, it was 4.5 then. Currently it has boomed up to 5.5. So, and then if Green manages to come out of protocols, I imagine it would go up again.
Right.
But it's going to be an interesting ball game.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of interesting ball games, we now are starting to get to bowl games that actually have some relevance to them. Thank gosh.
Hey, now, all those bowl games have relevance to somebody. I mean, look how ticked off NC State was that they couldn't get somebody to play in the Holiday Bowl.
That's true. They just had to stay out in San Diego and enjoy themselves for a couple of days. Maybe they ducked down to Tijuana.
Now, here's a question, and you'll probably know better than I would. Now that those games get canceled, nobody gets any money, right? There's no payouts for games that are canceled?
No, there's no payouts for games that are canceled. There's a small there's what in essence is a an expenses fee. So the universities who came out there, any money that the conference paid, because the conferences handle all of the travel. So, the moment the moment, for instance, like Clemson or somebody gets into a bowl, all of that no longer goes through Clemson. It goes through the conference, and the conference handles all the travel and all that that stuff. So, in concert, obviously, with the university. But to make a long story short, no, they don't get the money. They do, however, get they get reimbursed. The conference gets reimbursed for any monies they spent to bring the team out there, and return them.
So you think they'd rather want the 7 figures that they would have gotten if the game was actually played?
That would probably be something they would have enjoyed. Yeah, there's no question about that. But again, there's there's also bowl insurance, so there's some money that goes there. But it really, as I say, it covers the expenses out and back, and that's about it. It's
well, bad news for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bad news for you, John. It says IUPUI Day. That game actually was postponed. Cleveland State will now be playing the other team from Indiana. They're playing Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne, the Mastodons, today. IUPUI will be in action again next week, January 6th, when they take on none other than Northern Kentucky when they face the Norse. Apparently, there are COVID protocol issues with the Jaguars, so they will not take the floor tonight. Joaquin, we're glad to hear you hit a 6-teamer with the info that we gave out. It's always nice to see that we had a positive winner there, and we're glad that you're here, and we're glad it worked out for you. As for Elliot, with your parlay idea here with the Sharks, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Hurricanes in regulation, and Wisconsin, yeah, that's a pretty good parlay. I mean, I like the Sharks over the Flyers. The Flyers playing a second game of back-to-back after playing last night in Seattle. The Islanders we touched on already. They're playing a Buffalo team that's playing the second game of back-to-back. The Nets are healthy. The Hurricanes, Montreal starting Samuel Montembeault in goal today. He's 1-4-2 with the goals against north of 3.5. Carolina is very good in their own end. And they're supposed to get Sebastian Aho and Teuvo Teravainen and Svechnikov back tonight as well. And Wisconsin, well, we're going to get to that here in just a minute in the bowl games. And John, of course, very disappointed about IUPUI not playing.
No. All right. The Tennessee Volunteers and the Boilermakers of Purdue, the giant killers of the Big Ten, taking on a very disappointing Tennessee Volunteer team.
Yeah, and but at least Tennessee, at least they have light at the end of the tunnel, something they haven't had probably since Phil Fulmer was there.
Right. Yeah.
Tennessee finished 7-5. Purdue was 8-4. The big issue that I have with Purdue is that David Bell and Milton Wright, their top 2 receivers, are both opted out to prepare for the NFL draft.
Right.
Also, our defensive end, George Karlaftis, who's probably their best defensive player. I'm looking for this one to be an offensive barn burner, kind of like what we saw yesterday with Oklahoma and Oregon. Tennessee was 16th in the nation in total offense. They're 54th in passing offense, 20th in rushing offense, and they were a top 10 team in scoring offense at 38.8 points per game. Meanwhile, Purdue 50th in total offense at 424.7. They're 8th in passing at 340.5 yards per game. And they're facing a Tennessee defense that struggled against the pass, ranking 103rd with 251.4 yards per game allowed. Aiden O'Connell will be under center for Purdue. He's already said he's coming back to West Lafayette next year, so that's got to be at least something that Jeff Brom can build on. The over's gone 5-0 in Tennessee's last 5 overall. It's gone over in their last 6 following an ATS loss, and it's gone over in Purdue's last 4 after a straight-up win. I look for this one to be similar, like we said, to Oklahoma-Oregon yesterday. Hopefully it won't be 30-3 at halftime, and then they score a bunch of points when it didn't matter. But either way, it doesn't matter where the points come from or when they're scored, as long as it goes over the number. And I think that this one's going to be another one of those games where both teams are in the high 30s because both teams are good on the offensive side of the ball and they struggle on the defensive side of the ball. And that's something that Lane Kiffin's probably going to have to address not Lane Kiffin, I'm sorry.
Lane could do it if he was there, but what?
Yeah, who is Tennessee's football coach now? They keep changing names. I know it was Jeremy Pruitt before.
No, it's the guy that came up from Central Florida.
Heupel. Yeah, Josh Heupel.
Yeah, Josh Heupel.
Yeah, he's given something to look forward to there. So I think that's going to be they'll be better going forward, but here I think this one's going to end up over the total because neither team can play defense with any kind of consistency.
Well, it's also a home game for all intents and purposes for Tennessee.
That's true. It's right down the old road there, down what is that, I-40?
Yeah, it's a home game for them. It's a little smaller stadium than they're used to playing in down in Knoxville. But hey, you go to Nashville, get some good food, some great music, and polish off the Boilermakers in the process. So.
And look, Jim, Joaquin doing your job for you. Saying let's hit that like button.
Hey, Joaquin, buddy, thank you. Good to hear. Good to know. That's right. Let's follow Joaquin's advice and smash that button. Okay. There's a bunch of you here. Come on. It's not that tough. Just reach over and hit the like button. We appreciate it. So thank you, Joaquin. Greatly appreciate it. So we leave Nashville and we head
to the Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
Which, they change stadiums for these things all the time, so it gets ridiculous trying to keep track. This one coming to you live from the ever-exciting place known as none other than the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, the Peach Bowl. Right. In Atlanta, I'm so used to them calling it, the Georgia Dome and everything else. They've had so many stadiums down there, it's hard to keep track.
Right, yeah.
But I actually like Pitt plus 3.5 over Michigan State. Michigan State, they cratered down the stretch, getting bombed 56-7 by Ohio State in their season finale. Pitt finished 11-2. They won the ACC title by beating Wake Forest in the title game there. Michigan State ended 10-2. There's key pieces out on both sides. Kenneth Walker III is out for Michigan State as he declared for the draft. Kenny Pickett out for Pitt. Also for Pitt, Mark Whipple left the program. He's going to take the offensive coordinator job at Nebraska. It'll be Nick Patty, another quarterback that I believe played at UCF before transferring under center for the Panthers. But, they've got so many explosive weapons, it might not matter. Especially when you look, Pitt finished 5th in the nation in total offense, averaging 504.5 yards a game. They're 6th in passing offense at better than 350 a clip. And they're 3rd in the FBS in scoring at 43 points a game. Meanwhile, Michigan State, Mel Tucker, everybody talks about how he's supposed to be a defensive coach. Either he's not a defensive coach or they don't have any defensive players because they finished 117th in the FBS in total defense, giving up 455.8 yards a game. They were 130th in the FBS. That's dead last. That's worse than UConn. That's worse than UMass. That's worse than New Mexico State. All the pillow fighting teams in the bottom 10 of the rankings, they gave up 338 yards per game through the air. That doesn't bode well when you're facing a Pitt team that has so many weapons when it comes to throwing the ball. I mean, you look at that team and you've got, none other than who was it? Jordan Addison caught 93 balls for 1,479 yards and 17 touchdowns. Jared Wayne had 46 grabs. Taysir Mack is good. Lucas Krull at tight end. Gavin Bartholomew, their second tight end, even caught 27 passes. And you have to wonder, Michigan State, can they cover anybody? They've proven all season long they can't. Pitt 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 after scoring more than 40 points. They're 7-1 in their last 8 after allowing less than 100 yards rushing. They're 6-1 in their last 7 against teams with a winning record. Meanwhile, Michigan State just 3-8-2 in their last 13 games when you come down to playing teams after an ATS win. I don't like the Spartans here. Losing – it's bad enough they can't play defense, but losing Kenneth Walker III, their leading rusher, is going to put a lot of pressure on the offense. You don't want to put the ball with the game on the line in the hands of Peyton Thorne at quarterback. He hasn't been good all season. Take the points. Take Pitt. Look for them to get the win here. Ryan, Ryan, you can disagree all you want. That's what it's all about. People are entitled to their opinions. I'm giving you mine based on the numbers. And they favor Pitt from where I'm sitting right here. It may not turn out that way, but we've had a pretty good run when it comes to picking the bowl games. And I'm going to stick with the Panthers with the points. And there you go. John won some money yesterday betting on the Mavs. Oh, no, sorry. He lost on the Mavs. That's right. They gave up a 3 at the buzzer to lose to Sacramento. John, I didn't tell you to bet on Dallas. I stayed away from that game just because I don't like Dallas or Sacramento.
There you go. My only concern about Pitt tonight is not that they've got plenty of weapons. It's that Kenny Pickett Kenny Pickett's been so good. But the offense is a good offense, and he's had they've had the opportunity to run 2 and 3 different quarterbacks in there because there've been a lot of garbage time from that.
Right. Hey, so Nick Patty and his limited action, 12 of 14 this year for 140 yards.
No, I'm not. Look, hey, Pitt is a family school. My father went to Pitt, so it's something that I'm a fan. So I'm just saying it's gonna be fun to watch that game. It should be a fun game to watch from a standpoint of Pitt can put points on the board, and we'll see if Michigan State can stop them.
Like I said, the big issue I have with Michigan State is that Thorne wasn't all that great throwing the ball, and losing Walker, who ran for 1,636 yards and 18 touchdowns. I mean, he single-handedly carried them to that win over Michigan earlier this season. That's a big blow to take out of your offense.
But you look at Michigan State and Penn State, right? This year, just 2 of the Big Ten teams and Purdue we just talked about. Those were all 3 of those teams were ranked in the top 10, and went flying down the hill toward the end of the season, where the Panthers didn't get a lot of love in the ACC until they started beating everybody, and then eventually, finally somebody says, "Oh, well, you know what? They're worthy of a New Year's 8 game." So good for the Panthers, and we'll see. A lot of money was spent in Michigan State on the coaching staff.
Yeah, I know. Then giving Tucker that 10-year extension. Yep. I wonder if they regretted it all after watching them get stomped by Ohio State.
I don't think it helped. That's for sure. It was one of those crazy situations where they didn't want to lose him. And look, no shade on him. He's a good coach. But, they didn't respond well afterwards. But, good on him for getting the money, and we'll see how it comes out.
Go back to the NBA. Elliott saying he's been making a lot of money fading the Pacers this year. Well, we faded them yesterday. We told you to take the Hornets +3 and on the road at Indiana, and the Pacers won, the Hornets won that game outright, 116-108. I mean, the Pacers, they're just a mystery. I mean, they've got some good players with Sabonis and LeVert and Brogdon. Brogdon's issue is he can't stay healthy. Obviously, if they can get T.J. Warren back, that'll be a boost for them because it gives them another scoring option. Mm-hmm. I mean, he only played 4 games last year before breaking his foot, and he hasn't been back yet. I mean, you'd have to think that Indiana can turn it around, but, I mean, you're nearly midway through the season, and they're still floundering 7 games below 500.
So we move from the Chick-fil-A Bowl, where we know the Panthers are going to beat Michigan State, on to our next bowl, which
the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, because of course we got to have some ridiculous sponsor to just take up half my line at the top. I like Wisconsin -7 over Arizona State. I know everybody likes Herm Edwards, and he'll sit there and tell you play to win the game.
Right.
Hello. You play to win the game. Well, unfortunately for Herm, half of his guys decided that they weren't going to play to win the game. They weren't going to play at all, so that's a problem for him.
Right.
Rashad White, who is a Swiss Army knife running back, ran for over 1,000 yards, has opted out. His backup, Diamante Tranium, is in the transfer protocol or portal. Johnny Wilson, one of their big receivers, also in the portal, and Donovan West is out with a thumb injury. On defense, they won't have Darian Butler or corners Chase Lucas and Jack Jones, who all opted out. That's not good news for Herm. They're also facing the number one defense in the nation. Wisconsin allowed just 241.4 yards per game. They're seventh against the pass. They're stifling against the run. They're number one in the country. They allow 65.8 yards a game on the ground, and they're sixth in scoring defense, giving up 16.4 points a game. Arizona State, they'll give you free first downs. Let's be honest. They're third worst in the FBS. They average 9 penalties for 82.75 yards a game. You can't give a team like Wisconsin a chance to have extra downs to run the ball down your throat because you know that's what they're going to do. Wisconsin 17-5 in their last 22 after picking up less than 275 yards from their last game. They're 22-7 in their last 29 after being held under 100 yards rushing. And Arizona State 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 bowl games as an underdog. You have to take Wisconsin here, give the touchdown. Graham Mertz and company will run all over Arizona State, who are gutted on both sides of the ball. And the Sun Devils don't have the ability to attack through the air to do any damage. Look for the Badgers to win this one, probably by double figures, leaving Herm to wonder if he really should stay in Tempe for another season. And I'm not sure if Jim froze or not. It looks like he did. Yeah, Ryan, I was disappointed with DePaul yesterday too. I didn't think that they would let Butler slow the game down as much as they did. But that's the way the Bulldogs play. Lavelle Jordan wants to slow the game down to a crawl so you can fall asleep in between possessions, and that's really the way things panned out. And on the plus side, we said Wake Forest +5. They only lost by 4. I thought they were going to beat Louisville straight up. So you take your wins where you can get them. And Nathan, about the Bucks. Well, we talked about it before, and I've got them actually in the 2 for the money segment. When you get right down to it, the Bucks. I know they're giving 14 points, but you're looking at an Orlando team that is minus 12 players on the injury report today, including Cole Anthony and Mo Bamba. The Bucks just beat them by 17 the other day. The Bucks have won 10 straight meetings over Orlando. Coming into this one, they've won 8 of those by at least 11 points. The other 2 were by 9 points each. You have to think that the Magic are in trouble, especially having no weapons to speak of. Milwaukee should win that one fairly comfortably. Like I said, I've got them in the 2 for the money coming up here in just a second. Yeah, it looks like Jim is trying to get back in here. We'll see if it pans out. There's Jim. At least I think he's here. Are you here, Jim? Well, we see him, but we don't hear him. So since we've gone through the bowl games and the NBA and the NHL, and John, I haven't seen what the team total under is for Orlando. God knows they've had issues this season offensively. The problem is Milwaukee has had problems defensively because they like to push the tempo and try to run teams into the ground. So you have to be a little bit skittish about that. Just because the Magic, they can get a lot of points in garbage time like they did in the game on Tuesday night. Like I said, they were down 27, I believe it was at halftime. Never got closer than 9 in the second half, but they scored a bunch of points in order to push over the total. The Bucks won that game 127-110. I think Orlando would score more than 60 in the game. If that's a first half total, right. I would take it. Oh, you're back, Jim.
Yeah, there was some. We had some issue here. Sorry about that, guys. So we're now. Where are we still in the bowl
No,
picture?
we,
Or are
we
we?
just finished up talking about the bowl game. We were just wondering if you were coming back or not.
Yeah. No. I'm always here. Sorry. Um, technical issue, but we're good. So now we've talked about the bowl games. Is there any more bowl games left?
Nope. The Duke's Mayo Bowl is going on now, but
Yeah. Well. Okay. So it's now time for two for the money, and two for the money is where we are headed.
and it's brought to you by Michelob Light. No, it's not. We're just making that up as we go along.
Right.
Like we just said, I like the Bucks minus 14 over Orlando. The Magic, like I said, you're better off counting, who they do have as opposed to who they don't. It's kind of like the situation we've had with Atlanta the last couple games. Like I said, 12 players are listed as out on the latest injury report for the Magic, including Cole Anthony and Mo Bamba. And let me see. Let me just check the updated list here. Yeah, Michael Carter-Williams, Markelle Fultz, of course, Jonathan Isaac, Robin Lopez, Michael Mulder, Chuma Okeke, Terrence Ross, and Jalen Suggs all out for Orlando. We just saw the Bucks beat them comfortably the other night. I look for it to happen again. Like we said, the Nets minus 5 over Philadelphia. The Nets get, Kevin Durant, LaMarcus Aldridge back. They've got Harden back. 76ers, they've struggled a bit offensively this year, and it's hard to have a ton of faith in a Philadelphia team that's 22nd in scoring offense. If you don't want to go that route, we've got the Flames over the Kraken. Like I said, the Flames playing for the first time since December 11th, but they get a Seattle team they played last night and lost at home to Philadelphia in overtime. And we just talked about Wisconsin minus 7. Nathan said he got it at 6.5. It could be there depending on the book you're at. I like them, the Badgers minus 7 over Arizona State. Herm Edwards is missing too many pieces on both sides of the ball. And you have to think that Wisconsin will just turn around and run the ball all over Arizona State, control the clock, put up some points and get the win. Their defense is more than enough to shut down anybody, especially a team like Arizona State that has struggled offensively for large chunks of the season.
All right, time to go for the show.
Yep, and I'm going to go with Pitt plus 3.5 over Michigan State. We just talked about it. I know Kenny Pickett's not there, but Nick Patty's no slouch.
Right,
meanwhile, you've got Jordan Simmons having to step in to replace Kenneth Walker III. Peyton Thorne is not the kind of guy you want to have throwing the ball, and Michigan State's pass defense is absolutely horrible when you get right down to it. The Islanders, if you didn't want to play the puck line, which is what I had up above, the money line is rather prohibitive. But Buffalo's playing the second game of back-to-back. Subban has not been impressive since they got him from Chicago in that trade last month with Tokarski and Craig Anderson on the shelf. And Montreal, Carolina should go over 6. We've seen some sloppy hockey since the pause. We saw Montreal lose 5-4 in overtime to Tampa Bay the other night. Carolina has a ton of offensive weapons. Montreal gives up nearly 4 goals a game on the road. Look for this one to go over the total in that one.
Okay. Let's move on to the big one. Let's see what you can do. And look, here's a chance as we go toward the end of the year to really have some fun and pick as many as you want or as few as you want. Go ahead, Chris. Tell people some of the fun things that they could do with this group of teams.
Well, I mean, like we always say, you could pick 2, you could pick 4, you could pick 8. If you're really a masochist, you could pick all 10, I guess.
Right.
I mean, that's up to you. Basically, it's whatever works for you. I mean, some people pick out 5, some people pick out 7. I mean, I've seen people pick out 6 and come out winners. It all works. I mean, we've had 8-teamers come out of this. That we had one a couple weeks ago that if you had bet $100 on the 8-teamer, you would have cashed out $22,000. So, I mean, the possibilities are there. As it is, I look for Cleveland State minus 10.5 to beat Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne. The Mastodons have struggled this season. The Vikings play some decent basketball. And, Cleveland State's got to get out their aggression that they didn't get to play IUPUI, much to the disdain of John, who was hoping that they would be on the boards today. UC Santa Barbara -3 over UC San Diego. It's a Big West opener for both teams. The Gauchos are a little better offensively than the Tritons. I look for them to get the win on the road. Sticking to the Big West, I like Cal State Bakersfield. The Roadrunners are only a 1-point favorite at home over a Cal State Fullerton team that has not been all that impressive. Fullerton, we've gone against them before on this program. They lost to Wyoming by 13 at home. They've also lost to San Diego State. They have struggled on the road this season. Their road wins were a 2-point win over San Diego. That's the Toreros, not the Tritons. They beat Northern Arizona, but they've lost all their other road games, including to Santa Clara and San Jose State. They also have a neutral floor loss to UT Rio Grande Valley. Everybody loves UT RGV when it comes down to picking basketball games. Look for the Roadrunners to win there. On the ice, I like Tampa Bay. They're actually an underdog probably because they have to play Maxime Legacy in goal. Florida had to rally last night to beat the Rangers, which was a disappointment because I liked the Rangers to win that game, but they melted down in the third. Tampa Bay is rested. Florida had to expend some energy in the third period yesterday. Look for the Lightning to steal one there. Bruce Boudreau, Jim, he's 7-0. They beat the Ducks last night 2-1 in overtime. I like him to go and ring up an 8th straight win as they face the Kings on the road, even with Yaroslav Halak, who is 1-4-1 on the season in the Nets. The Kings, they've been inconsistent at best. I like what Bruce Boudreau's done there. I mean, obviously, can't argue with a 7-0 record. I like San Jose -165 over Philadelphia. The Flyers playing the second game of back-to-back after beating Seattle in overtime last night. The Sharks hopefully will play better hockey than what we saw on Tuesday night when they allowed the Coyotes to score 7 goals, which is probably more than they scored the entire month. However, they did manage to escape with an 8-7 win in a shootout in a game that reminded me of watching hockey in the 80s. In college football, like you said, Tennessee and Purdue, I look to go over 66. Pitt and Michigan State, I have to go over 55.5 just because, like we said, Michigan State's defense is atrocious. Pitt likes to score points, even without Kenny Pickett in there. It's hard to argue with a team that's averaged 43 points a game. Philadelphia and the Nets, I look to stay under 222. Philadelphia's defense has been good. Their offense has been bad. The Nets won't have to score 120 points to win. And finally, I like the Wizards, -3 over Cleveland. Bradley Beal is questionable to come out of the protocols. The Cavaliers, however, did lose Darius Garland to the protocols, and Ricky Rubio, who was filling in for him, tore his ACL Tuesday night. He's done for the year. So look for the Wizards to get back on track for Wes Unseld there.
Outstanding. Well, let's get one more plug in for our buddies at Caesars Sportsbook. Now, remember, when Chris was talking about free money, here it comes, folks. If you're a first-time bettor with the folks at Caesars Sportsbook, they're going to match you, win, lose, or draw. They're going to match your first bet up to $1,001, okay? So that is definitely like playing for free money. It's a perfect way, if you're new to the service, to really get your money's worth and really have some fun with it. So go now to the Caesars app or go online and check out and see if you are eligible in your state to work with Caesars. Do what we said you're going to have fun with, and that, of course, is becoming a new member of the Caesars family. We're members of the Caesars family. We like it. They've been fantastic. You have to be 21 years or older to participate. Of course, it's only valid in dates that are listed. So check everything out in our show box below. Because if you use that promo code, the only way to the promo code is Video Winners, okay? So if you want to be part of it, it's Video Winners. Check it out at Caesars Sportsbook, either the app or the online service. All the information on this great promotion that they're running with us is in the show box below. So all the good stuff that Chris talked about, try checking it out through the folks at Caesars. You'll be glad.
Think about it. You get double your money.
That's true. Absolutely true. So anyway, Christopher, one final thought before we head out here. Tomorrow we're going to have a special guest. We're not going to tell you who it is yet, but we are going to have somebody who
It's
knows a
not
little bit
Richard
about.
Nixon.
It's not. No, it's not. Knows a little bit about the bowl business. So he'll be with us tomorrow, and we'll be talking about that. So for Chris King, I'm Jim Williams saying have a wonderful day. It's been a lot of fun, everybody. We will see you tomorrow, 1:30, same time, same